Good morning. What a wonderful day to start day 2 of FII by bringing a bunch of people onto the stage to argue with each other. But that's what debate is, and that's what we do at Open to Debate, because we believe there is such a thing as good argument. And what do I mean by that? First of all, I mean that it is civil. And when you look at the goals of FII, which is to figure out the best ways to have the best impact on our shared future, it's a fact that we can have shared goals, but we're going to have different ideas about how to get there. We're going to have conflicting ideas. Not everybody's going to have all of the answers. And debate is a way to test our ideas against one another, to hear each other out, to challenge one another, and potentially to learn from one another. And that's what we are about to do with our program called Clash of the Titans. We have 6 intellectual and business titans who will be taking part in a series of 3 debates. Now, typically, our debates take on one topic, and they last for about an hour, more or less. This is different. We are going to do 3 debates quickly, 3 in a row, and they're going to be around 3 themes. Those themes are money, truth, and power. We do have ground rules, as has already been stated. One of them is civility. In this debate also, the debaters are strictly timed, 2-minute openings and 1-minute rebuttals, and then we will move on to the next debate. So it's going to be quick. It's going to be more of a TikTok-style debate. So let's get started with that. Our first topic in Clash of the Titans is going to be money, and I would like to welcome our first 2 debaters to the stage. And I would appreciate applause when I introduce these debaters as they make their way to the stage. First, please welcome Dr. Saifedean Ammous. Dr. Ammous is an economist and best-selling author. His most recent publication is Principles of Economics. And Mr. Robert Rosenkranz. Robert Rosenkranz is chairman of Delphi Capital Management, as well as founder and chairman of Open to Debate. Once again, the topic is money, and here is the specific question we are going to ask you to take on. Is the future of currency crypto or fiat? Saifedean Ammous, you go first. You have 2 minutes to answer the question, which once again, is it fiat or is it crypto?
First of all, thank you so much, John, and thank you everybody for inviting me to FII. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. I'm going to make my comments as quick as I can. So, Bitcoin's rise in the last 15 years, for me, has exploded 2 of the most important myths surrounding money. They're self-serving myths promoted by governments over the last century, which I don't think hold up. The first myth is that money supply needs to expand to accommodate growing economic activity. But we look at Bitcoin. In the past 10 years, Bitcoin's supply has only expanded by about 50%, whereas the size of the Bitcoin economy has gone up by about 10,000%. So the money supply does not need to grow to keep up with the size of the economy. And I think this is an enormously important point. And the entire idea of having a monetary policy is built on this, and Bitcoin shows us that that's not necessary. The market is capable of choosing the money on its own. And the market chooses the asset that is the hardest. And that is the second myth surrounding money, which is that money is the choice of government. But history shows with gold predates all of the world's governments as money. Governments did not legislate gold into becoming money. Governments had to make their own money out of gold in order for the market to accept it as money. They had to accept the market's choice for money. And this is what we're seeing now with Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is one of the 10 largest currencies in the world, and it has no state sanction behind it. It's not the state anywhere that has made Bitcoin money. So what ends up happening on a free market is that the market chooses the hardest asset to produce as money because it holds on to its value. This happens in 2 ways. Either people recognize this and choose the hardest money, in which case they benefit at the expense of the people who use the easier money, or people don't recognize it and just find that their wealth disappears and all the wealth ends up in the hands of the people who have the hardest money. This is exactly what's going on with Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin continues to rise because it is hard, whereas government monies are easy to produce, and so they continue to lose value. So people today need to accept this and understand it, and I think Bitcoin is the most advanced form of money because of this, and it will continue to rise, and it will replace government money.
Thank you. You have hit time. Robert Rosenkranz, we know where you stand with the way this is set up, but I want to launch you by asking the question, is currency's future fiat or crypto?
Well, as a titan of finance, I think that money has to meet 3 criteria. It's got to be a store of value. It's got to be transacted by trustworthy intermediaries, and it has to be ease of transaction. And I'd say that Bitcoin fails miserably on all 3 counts. As a store of value, there's no underlying asset whatsoever. Its value relies on popular delusions and the madness of crowds. Since 2011, there have been 4 occasions when Bitcoin has lost more than 80% of its value. And yes, fiat currencies erode in value over time, but that is usually offset by their interest income. Then the question of trust of the intermediaries. The largest Bitcoin exchange in 2014 was Mt. Gox. The largest in 2022 was FTX. They both had spectacular bankruptcies. The largest now is Binance. It was just fined $4 billion for its misfeasances. And then on ease of transactions. So MasterCard, in 2 minutes, processes 300,000 transactions. The BT Ledger takes a full day to process 300,000 transactions, and to do it, it uses the entire power supply of the nation of Poland. This is insanely inefficient and wasteful. So on those grounds, I would say that Bitcoin has major, major failures as money.
Thank you very much. Time for a rebuttal. Dr. Ammous, you have 1 minute.
On the issue of store of value, even with all of these 80% drawdowns, Bitcoin has outperformed every financial asset over the last 10, 15 years. In fact, I don't think there's any money manager who's outperformed Bitcoin over the last 5, 10 years. All those people charging fees to manage money cannot match just simply buying and holding Bitcoin, because they're playing a game in a rigged currency where the currency is constantly devalued. So you need to run extra fast just to stay where you are, because the currency is designed to lose value. Whereas with Bitcoin, because the currency is fixed in supply, simply the increased demand, and as people recognize and understand that this is a fixed supply currency that nobody can inflate, that on its own is causing its value to appreciate more than pretty much any investment in the fiat world. On the issue of exchanges, Bitcoin does not require exchanges to operate. In fact, that's the whole point. The whole point is that you are the one who's in charge of your currency. You can decide what you do with it, and nobody can take it away from you, because it's cryptography, it's math. It's not money. And on the issue of energy, I think this is a failed comparison, which I discuss in my book. Bitcoin is not a consumer payment system. You can't compare MasterCard transactions. It's a final settlement platform.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rosenkranz, you have the last word. 1 minute rebuttal.
Okay, well, my opponent has made a lot of the fact that the supply of Bitcoin is limited. Well, so is the supply of Picassos, and that does not make Picasso money. He's also talked about the fact that government doesn't have its hands on Bitcoin. But that's because the anonymity of Bitcoin enables a lot of nefarious activity, from ransomware payments to drug dealers to financing terror networks. Government establishes the value of money by making it legal currency, by making it the means of which you can pay debts, pay your taxes, et cetera, and it has every reason to ban or heavily regulate Bitcoin. So in my view, Bitcoin ain't money, and in my view, it never will be.
That is a wrap on this round. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And you may leave the stage. Thank you. Now we move on to our second debate. The theme in this one is truth. And I'd like to welcome to the stage again with a round of applause. First, Sir Martin Sorrell, who is founder and executive chairman of the S4 Capital Group. Sir Martin, welcome. This side, sorry. And Xenia Wickett. Ms. Wickett is the founder of Wickett Advisory and is an executive coach and international advisor. Ms. Wickett, thank you. Welcome to the stage. I said the theme of this this round is truth, and the degree to which truth may be disrupted by technology, or is it being enhanced? And the advent of artificial intelligence has certainly raised this topic to new levels of relevance. So here is the question, and you will go first, Sir Martin. Will AI change the nature of truth? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Thanks, John. Good morning, everybody. So, three very simple points. Firstly, AI, AGI, depends on data. Garbage in, garbage out. So the data that is supplied to AI models is absolutely critical, and control of that data or influence on that data will be essential. That data is going to be increasingly supplied by very large companies, companies that effectively are countries. If you equate market capitalization with GDP, a $3 trillion company would be the size of a France or a Germany, almost a Germany, an Italy, a Spain, or indeed a UK. And those companies will have enormous responsibilities in terms of the way that they collate the data, ingest the data, use the data. So critically important is how those companies are regulated. And the third point is there has to be self-regulation. Governments don't have the capacity or the resources or the capabilities that these large companies have. The regulatory agencies cannot move as fast and as quickly as those companies are moving or will move in the future, particularly given the needs, the capital needs of those companies around energy and compute power. So self-regulation, working together to work on the truth and what the truth is critically important. So self-regulation in partnership with government is the way forward. In the absence of Armageddon in terms of regulation, an AT&T or type breakup of the scale that we've seen, for example, in the oil industry historically.
Thank you. Wickett, will AI change the nature of truth?
Thank you. Thank you. Truth is an unchanging, objective constant. AI can't alter it. The Allies won World War II. 2 + 2 = 4. AI might distort, might manipulate perceptions, but the facts remain the same. AI doesn't change the nature of truth. AI might generate deep fakes, false information, but it cannot change the underlying reality. The moon landing happened in 1969, no matter how it might be portrayed. Perceptions shift, truths do not. AI only affects how we access the truth, not its essence. Technology does change access, but it does not change truth. Across history, the printing press, internet, social media have changed how we access truth, but the truth nevertheless remains constant. Whether we learn through books or we learn through AI, Britain has a parliament. Technology does not redefine the facts. Truth has 3 fundamental characteristics. First of all, it is objective. It is fact-based. Secondly, it reflects reality. It corresponds to what actually is. And thirdly, it is independent of how it is discovered. The method of finding truth, whether through AI or otherwise, doesn't affect the truth itself. AI might change perceptions or create alternative narratives, but truth's essence remains unchanged. AI is a facilitator, but it is not an arbiter. It helps us access and filter data, but it does not generate the truth. It is a tool, not a creator of truth. It may help us identify truths, but that is where it ends.
Thank you very much. So Martin, your 1-minute rebuttal.
Well, truth is subjective. I mean, newspaper barons have always influenced truth. We've seen where media owners can influence in this current election that we're seeing in the United States. Owners of media seek to influence opinion in one way or another by endorsing or not endorsing candidates. You mentioned the moon landing. Some people believe that that moon landing never took place, that it was some cinematic or movie-produced reel that people were seeing. So the truth that you refer to can be influenced, and unfortunately, in the context of AI and AGI, there will be bad actors, and we will have to control those bad actors or stop them from influencing people in unsatisfactory ways. In the current conflicts that we see taking place, sadly, in Eastern Europe and indeed in the Middle East, truth is influenced in the new media, the social media that we see in many ways. And AGI can certainly do that too.
Wickett, your rebuttal, please.
Thank you. So Martin, I'm so pleased you brought that up. Thank you. Because what you're talking about is perception. And there's no question at all, I 100% agree with you. AI alters perception. it doesn't alter reality. It doesn't alter the truths. AI can manipulate how we perceive, what we perceive. It can manipulate how information is delivered, but the underlying truth remains the same. Misleading media can deceive, but it doesn't rewrite the facts. So, yes, you're 100%. We live in a world that is hugely complex. We live in a world where people are bringing out new facts. We live in, or new perceptions. We live in a world that many describe as a post-truth world. But that is about information overload. That is about manipulation.
I'm sorry
that
you've
isn't
hit
about
time.
the shift in
And
nature.
I have to
of-
thank both of you very much for this round of the debate. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now our third and final debate, I'd like to welcome to the stage two more titans, Dr. Jacques Attali. Dr. Attali is president of Attali Associates and was the first president of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and also Mr. Christian Angermayer. Mr. Angermayer is an investor and founder of the Apeiron Investment Group. Thanks for making it to the stage. This topic concerns power, and it's the question of who deserves power, who can be trusted with it, and the way that we are phrasing the question is it time to give more power to tech companies? Dr. Attali, you have the first response.
Well, power has always been the key question, and in the past, power has been divided between at least three kinds of people. Soldiers, the religious people, and the people from economy, market. Today, there is another category, which are tech people, and they are very important. They are essential. Nobody can be against. The world will not be what it is today without tech. Tech is fundamental. Tech has given a rising life expectancy. Tech has given us whatever we have around us. Nobody can be against it. But tech is a tool. And tech cannot be the value in itself. Tech can be used for the worst and can be used for the best. Tech can be used for what I call economy of death, war, increasing climate crisis, terrible weapons, or can be used for the best, which was I call economy of life, which is development of health, education, culture, recycling, renewable energies, a sustainable society. And then the question is, who is the master? And the master has to be either the tech people, the religious people, the military people, the market people, or the politicians, the governments. In my view, it should be a balance between market and government. The market is good to let flourish technology. Government cannot develop technology by itself, but the market can do it. The market can do it if the government provide an environment of freedom, no fear to discover new things, but also control. AI will kill mankind if we let AI develop itself.
I have to stop you there at 2 minutes. And Christian Angermayer, your opening statement, please, 2 minutes.
Okay, thanks for having me. The problem is when you have a French guy and a German guy, we train since 50 years that Europe is in good state when Germans and French agree. So it's so hard to debate. And Jacques already made it like good Europeans do. He made a balanced view and not an extreme view, what more Americans do. So it's going to be a very balanced debate because we more or less have the same opinion. Actually, because you already said, like, tech is a tool, so I rather shift it to sort of the people behind tech, so a little bit more entrepreneurs versus government, and government too much regulation. So I was thinking, whom I'm afraid of in the morning when I wake up. Yeah, is it tech entrepreneurs or is it the government? As a German, I'm very afraid somebody could take away my money with taxes. Yeah, so at the moment we have an overly big sort of problem with too much government, like taxes. When you wake up in Russia, yeah, you're not afraid of Google, you're not afraid of Elon Musk, you're afraid that your government could start another silly war. Actually, I think we have become globally too much complacent with the, if I'm a little bit extreme, the tyranny of government. And it's actually very smart of government people to start a debate like that, where they're trying to insinuate that business tech is overly powerful, while if you look in the last decades, it's actually the government, it's actually regulation which has grabbed more and more power. But let's think for 1 minute indeed, tech would be as powerful as we're trying to make here in the debate. Would be that so bad? If you look at like half of the room is looking on your phones, it's not made by government, it's made by entrepreneurs, and at the end, it's made by tech companies. In the morning, we came in cars, which 100 years ago were invented by entrepreneurs and not by the government. And lastly, by the way, even here in Saudi, when you hear people talk about the government, none of them is saying, oh my God, let's be more like the European Union. That would be actually a heavy insult. But like you hear governments like here in Saudi or in Rwanda.
I'm sorry you've hit time.
Saying
Thanks
that I want to be more like Elon Musk.
Dr. Attali, you have 1 minute to rebut.
Well, Europe is a good example. We are trying to balance between market and regulations. And we are too much on the side of regulations in Europe as far as we are. But we need more regulations worldwide. Now, for many issues on tech, we need more regulations on AI worldwide. We need an international charter to control AI because AI can destroy mankind. AI can destroy mankind. And we need a regulation to avoid it. We need the same for biotech. Biotech is a wonderful potential, but the alliance between biotech and AI can also destroy mankind. And we know that from 30 years. We need a control of that. It has to be done by governments, having good experts to do it inside the government and by the market people, having in mind the interest of next generation. My dream is to have tech people and government people work in favor of next generation in order to build a common future.
Thank you very much. Your rebuttal, please.
Well, we almost agree again. Like I would say, it's really a balance. I think you want nobody, neither tech, nor entrepreneurs, nor the government, be all-powerful. What we all want, and coming from France and the French Revolution, you want a split of power. So that's why, yes, you want sensible regulation. Again, I think we're too far out on the government side at the moment, so I want to turn it back. If you look at Europe, it's a mess. Like the last thing which came out of Europe was when you have the lids of a water bottle that you cannot fully take it off. That's the grandiosity of European regulation, while Elon Musk is bringing rockets to space and safely back. So I think we want more of unleashed entrepreneurship, but yes, we don't want it 100%. We want sensible regulation, and I think actually AI is the topic where we want most of the sensible regulations, because we heard it in the truth section. It has the power to sort of distort the most, so we want sensible regulation there. I wouldn't push back there.
That is time, and thank you very much. Thanks to both of you, and that concludes the third of our 3 debates. That has been our Clash of the Titans, but before we break, I'd like to just ask you all a question that I'd like you to answer as we do a poll. After you've heard these arguments in very quick succession, which of the grand challenge themes, money, truth, or power, do you consider to be the most critical to humanity's future? And while you're entering your response to that, I want to thank our debaters, first of all, Mr. Rosenkranz, Dr. Ammous, Sir Martin, Ms. Wickett, Dr. Attali, Mr. Angermayer. We so appreciate that you were willing to come up and face one another and to have an argument. As I said at the beginning, we really believe that there's such a thing as argument when it's conducted in good faith and with the intention to listen, with the intention to learn, and done so with civility. And we hope that through the rest of the conference, you'll kind of take the note from here. I want to listen to all sides. I want to listen to both sides without having to take offense if somebody disagrees with you. So let's look at the results from the poll. We'll bring them up. Which grand challenge is most critical for humanity's future? I'm told they're coming. Up, there they are. 52% of you led with truth. That's very poetic. I want to thank you all very much. Thanks for joining us from Open to Debate. And thank you to FII for having us.